This journey has been a long-awaited endeavour, meticulously planned with a clear vision, inspired by our adventurous community. As we step away from the office and into the outdoors, we embark on what we call the Summit Experience, a true Australian adventure. We've packed up our apartment and spent the past few months preparing everything for the journey ahead. It's taken dedication to reach this point, and I'm eager to uncover the discoveries that await us along the way.
Well, here we are, the start of the Big Lap series, and this is season 1, and we're going straight up to the tip of Cape York. When we come back, we're going to be heading across the Savannah Way, but in this series, we start off here today. We're headed towards Stanage Bay. Start of the season, we want to go in, have a look around Stanage. Got a good mate with a good property here, so we're going to spend a few days here really working out our system and setup. Pete's towing for the first time, so we've got about 30 k's of some really rough corrugated roads. There's about 70 k's of nice driving here, bit rural, but really good scenery. Can't wait to get to the beach tonight and have our first fire. So looking forward to it, looking forward to you guys joining us on this season, and we just can't wait to get amongst it.
Our adventure starts in Bundaberg, where we ensured our vehicles and caravans were road trip ready and fully stocked for remote travel. After a thorough grocery run and securing all our gear, we're ready to hit the open road. As we departed Bundaberg and headed towards Rockhampton, we meticulously tested our setups over the first hundreds of kilometres. Ensuring our vehicles were mechanically sound was crucial as we prepared to venture into more remote territories. With Cape York in our sight, a destination steeped in the essence of Australian exploration, we left no detail unchecked in our preparations. In Rockhampton, we topped up all our water tanks, knowing that fresh drinking water would be scarce for the next few days. This thorough preparation ensured we were fully equipped for the challenges ahead. We set our course for Stanage Bay, nestled 170 kilometres from Rocky, along the stunning coastline. As we approached the final 70 kilometres, the terrain shifted to gravel, prompting us to take precautions. Mindful of safety, we opted to lower our tyre pressure, enhancing traction and stability on the rugged road ahead.
Alright, so we're just letting these tyres down to about 22 PSI. These are preset Storm tyre deflators. I use a mixture of Storm and I also use MaxTrax Indeflates. I think both of them are really good products and they have their place. But it's really important that you do this because this will give you the best ride, but also look after your gear, and especially in your van as well, let your tyres down. We're both running unleashed, so we've also going to turn down our shocks to the lowest setting so they get the most decompression and compression, so they'll be really nice and soft. So that's what's cool about running good gear.
With our tyres adjusted for the rough terrain, we were set to continue our journey towards our final destination, Stanage Bay.
So we're going to turn off to the right up here into the property, mate.
After a full day's drive, we timed our arrival at Stanage perfectly to witness a breathtaking sunset. We're thrilled to be here, and the golden hour adds an extra layer of beauty to this stunning place. As dusk settled in, we focused on settling into our caravans, ensuring everything was secure and comfortable for the night ahead. Once settled, it was time to get firewood and gather around a beach fire. Here amongst the warmth and flickering flames, we reflected on our first 500 kilometres and eagerly discussed the adventures awaiting us on this journey to Cape York and through Australia. After a restful night's sleep, there's nothing quite like waking up in a location like this. We began our second day in the bay by getting some work done. While I focused on refining our trip itinerary, Elisa tackled her work remotely from the van. With everything sorted, we decided to go for a drive and explore what this beautiful property has to offer.
Well, just got to Stanage Bay last night and right on dusk. It was nice, so good to get here at that time of the day and see the ocean. It's just beautiful. We had a fire on the beach and did a bit of work this morning. Now we're going to go and have a bit of an explore around the property. And this is a mate of mine's property, beautiful part of the world, Stanage Bay. It's just really unique. He's got a cracking spot here. Him and his family, they love fishing, they love camping. He's got one of our zone family vans, so he lives out west, comes here so they can have holidays and relax and downtime. And I know they've just been here with their whole family, and I sort of gave them the respect, obviously, of waiting so they could have their time together as a group and hang out. And now it's our chance to come and have a bit of a break and see what's going on here. But it's just so good. We're going to go and have a bit of a look around. He's got a really cool setup here. He's got a couple of headlands, 2 beaches, and really an old sandstone sort of ruined house from the early times. And you look around, it's a bit dry here at the moment, but they run a few cattle here, and yeah, it's just really nice. So we'll go and check it out and have a look and see what's around the place. So feels like I just drove off the edge of the world, but how good's that? Lucky the new Toyota handbrakes work. But here we are. How good is this? I just could see from sitting in the car, there's a couple of green big turtles going past. Obviously this time of year the whales cruise past, but mate, this is magic. This is what it's all about. You work hard, you just want to get to these places and enjoy it. And mate, I just so wrapped in what we're doing here at Stanage. It's just a really cool place to just relax. The weather's been good for us, obviously. Righto, we're over here right on the edge now, and it just always blows your mind how the erosion, how, you know, obviously the waves coming in over all these years have just changed the landscape. It's just cool, and you can just spend hours just looking out at the ocean and seeing the turtles and seeing things come past. And I don't know, it's just very relaxing and nice little breeze today, nothing too hard, so beautiful. We're just pumped to be here.
We stayed around the headland a bit longer, taking it all in. Standing here truly fueled our excitement for the upcoming Cape trip. And of course, we couldn't resist snapping a quick photo of the 300 against the breathtaking backdrop. What an incredible spot.
So I've just rocked up here to this old homestead. Got a mango tree, bougainvillea. You can see an old garden. There's a couple of grave sites here. Really amazing, this old house. Like, this homestead's amazing. Got a fireplace in there, just epic. How they got it here, built it, is amazing. Testament to those people who came before us and the pioneers of the country. So yeah, really cool to have a look. Righto, well here we are at Stanage Bay, and we just want to go around and check everything. So always when you travel, the best thing to do as soon as you pull up, we've been in dust now, so you can sort of see where things have moved, and we've gone and checked all our bolts, our wheel nuts, our trailer, and just have a look on the stone stomper. Like, we've already got rocks on there, I didn't get any window damage. That's what quite often can happen. You'll get a rock that'll fly up, hit the front and come back and take out your back window. You've got a couple of options. We suggest, and that's what we do, we supply everyone with a stone stopper, but if not, rhino hide, make a cover on the back as well for your rear windows. It's really important. So you just get around, have a look. These are our diesel tanks. Just every bolt, this thing's all pretty new. I've done 3,500 Ks, so I just keep continually checking everything, making sure things are working properly. The other important thing too is, like, inside, obviously you want to be dust free, which is fine, but more importantly, all your gear can move around if you don't pack it well. So we try and work out the best ways to interlock things and just make sure your weights are right, thinking about your overall weights. You do need ball weight, so these things are made to pack on the front, and you'll see in ours we've got quite a bit of stuff in here. Again, our barbecue, everything's strapped down. We always check that anytime we sort of pull up, we have a look at that. The other thing too is just to check on your triple seals, all your little hatches. You can just check, you can pull these in a bit tighter with your spanner, bring them in a bit tighter and they'll pull it up harder, but generally they don't move around too much once you get rolling. Again, awnings and things, you just want to check. If you've got a manual awning, check that you've got all your bolts nice and tight. But everything is just really important to have a good look. And you'll see now our tyres are still down, so we had to drop our tyres down to about 22, 24 PSI. Pretty rough track, like a lot of corrugations, not that long, probably 45 Ks worth, but absolutely worth dropping your trailer tyres and your car. You need to really know what that's like for your own vehicle, depending on how much rear weight. I'd never suggest letting the back down the same as the front when you're actually towing, because you've obviously always got transfer of weight with ball weight. So it's really important you get that right. Pete and I came through the other day and we had people just fly past us while we're airing down. And then you see people up the road further with things falling off, and there was a boat trailer, we've had a mud guard ripped off it. It's just important to do that. The other really important thing too, if you're going to check all your tyres, go and spend, this was probably 120, 150 bucks, worth having, but a tensiometer that you can actually, this is a King Chrome one. Look, you can get any brand. I normally have Sid Chrome. I love Australian made stuff, but just something that's really handy to go around, find out whatever the manufacturer's requirements are. You can easily set it up on this and away you go and check. And when it does, it basically just makes a little ping noise and it just pops out this little plug here, and it tells you that you're at the right tension. Really important thing to have, I think. And obviously also a big breaker bar. You want to make sure you can actually open things. The other thing I thought was really important to say was just even the simple things like carrying a set of pliers or Leatherman, pocket knife. You just never know. I've had to use that in a lot of occasions. The other thing too, I always make sure is all of my fire lighting stuff, so you can start fires. I'm not too good at rubbing the sticks together, but I did like a scouting thing and stuff when I was a kid, and I grew up on a cane farm, so I'm used to starting fires. But it's really important you have all that. And then obviously again, just make sure everything hasn't moved around too much. Our steps and that we've cleaned off. They were pretty filthy, so we've cleaned all that up so we can get in and out. Dropped out our muck mat, and that just helps you when you're working in sand and that. The other thing too, as part of your first testing, setting up your fridge correctly, setting up like your freezer, you want to get the right temperatures. So we've had ours going for the last 3 or 4 days. We know that our fridge isn't going to freeze all of our salad stuff and all those things, because what you don't want to do is head off on this first trip, straight away wreck all your food inside. You'll either have it too cold or not cold enough. So it's really important, and obviously we're heading north. So the other thing is it evolves with that. So all the fridges in modern day vans and things, you can adjust the temperature. So I suggest just you and your mates are heading out on a trip, or you and your partner, just make sure you have a look at that. It's really important. We're also checking solar, and we're seeing how much we use. The other important thing we haven't talked about yet is fuel usage. So as you start a trip, before you get too remote, you really want to know, towing like a new product, like a new van, how much fuel that's using, so you start to know your range. And you always want to give yourself a bit of a safety factor, because you just never know where you're going. Sometimes things can have diversions, it could have rained, you may have to go around the long way. So you always want to have a bit of reserve. But More importantly, don't trust the computer in the cars. Sometimes you've changed your wheels or you've got different tanks and it doesn't work quite right. So just be really aware of that. Thirdly, it's water usage. So right here, we don't have access. We're right on the water, but it's salt water, so we don't have any excess water. So we're here fully loaded with water and we're seeing exactly how much we use. Now we'll get a better average as we keep moving north, but I really wanted to get that, and Pete's doing the same. It's just calculating how much water we need each day, so then we sort of know when, and especially the old rule, if you drive past water that you can collect it. Now we have all composting toilets and things, so we're not looking for dump points, we're not looking for, you know, water sites as much. But the other thing we do need to do, and it takes a lot here, is your rubbish collection. So you got your dirty gear in the bag, but you'll see when we go around the back, it can get really dirty and gets really actually hard to use sometimes. So I just suggest really big garbage bags. Make sure you got a bit of excess of that, because it starts to accumulate, and then start thinking about, can I burn things? Can I use products that don't have as much wastage? So pre-packing is really important, but we'll keep going around. Really important things that we talk about all the time is just checking everything that starts to move. You'll see a common denominator with suspension and that. So we lowered all our pressures on our suspension as far as we've got unleashed. So we've got them on the softest setting. When we get back on the highway, we can put them up to either medium or firm. And obviously we normally go firm. It just makes it ride along nice and doesn't move around. The other thing is to keep your lights clean, keep your mirrors clean, and also obviously your reversing cameras is pretty important. So just some good things to just keep thinking about as you travel. We'll come around, and as I said, because we're here for a few days, the other thing too that we're going to have a look at is we've got a 70-litre water tank. Now, so our 70-litre water tank here is an Embark product, really good product, made in Bundaberg, Queensland. Really good stuff. 70 litres can go on the back of the cruiser. So if you want to go and grab water from somewhere else, so we're probably 150, 200 k's from Rockhampton, but you can get water at a servo up here at Stanage Bay. So if you're somewhere that's only say 30 k's away, just shoot up, get yourself another 70 litres and extend your stay. And that's the important thing. Really start thinking consciously when you're remote. The big thing is battery power is good. We can make lots of solar if the weather's fine. We can even generate a bit from our car. So this product here will put 50 amps in through the Red Arc system, and the Zone van can take that, and it's got the capacity to do 100 amps. So by 1 o'clock today, we were back full. So really good system, makes it really attainable to stay longer. But the hard thing is always water. So water you're going to need, and I just encourage people to find really good ways to carry water. You can have water bladders. I tend to use tanks. I've had a few issues with water bladders, but I'm not saying you can't do that. In my case, it's never been as easy to carry it in a water bladder. But these tanks work really well. You'll see around this side too, we've just checked everything, bolts, suspension, we just keep an eye on all that. Obviously too, you get some telltale signs when things come loose, they really become really clean. So if you see a bolt that's just clean and everything else around it's dirty, you can tend to tell it's been moving. The other thing too is we want to check for oil leaks, because we've got disc brakes on this van. So just check any of that stuff and just see where any rock damage or things are flying around. We've got a lot of protection on this van, so we're pretty good for that. And the other thing is just, as I said earlier, just checking all your seals, just making sure everything's dust tight. You know, we don't want dust going inside, so we're trying to keep it out. So the big thing for us is just checking that. Got our Starlink hooked up. Make sure you understand how Starlink works. It's a pretty important tool that you're going to have, because sometimes you will not have mobile reception. You definitely can use Starlink to make your Wi-Fi calls, and that may be the difference of you getting out of trouble if you've got into it. So I encourage everyone, before you get rolling too far, go and make sure all that stuff's working. And this is a Generation 3 one, very simple to use. We've just got it sitting there. We've got a few trees around, but it's still working really well. And the other thing then is your car. You definitely want to do your van, and you want to look at your car. Righto, so it's pretty important under here, because if we haven't got our engine working, we're not going to be going anywhere. So in my vehicle, I've got a Red Arc DC charger, that charges obviously down the back, and I've got an extra battery. So it's really important that you check all those things. It's got a light there that'll tell me if it's working or not, which I checked when I got here. The other thing to see, air cleaners, nothing's moved, batteries, things like that, because what you don't want is any of that stuff giving you hassles on your trip. So I did a massive pre-check before I went away on this trip. We had the guys at Just Autos do a bit of work, so we've had things done to this car, so then it makes it even double important that you actually check everything again. Now they went over it all, and then our own mechanics went over it all, who we get to service it at Toyota. So they checked everything. We've just had our service before we left, so we know we've got 10,000 Ks of really, hopefully good touring in the vehicle, and then we'll get serviced again somewhere on the road. But the other cool things you need to think about is carrying a couple of spare air cleaners. I would suggest a couple of fuel filters. The other thing is people have all sorts of opinions on different filters and things, and I won't get into that, but I just think it's really important. So for myself, I'm at least going to have, and Pete will change our air cleaner probably twice just on this trip up to Cape York. So we just want to make sure we look after our engines. I think oils and air cleaners and fuel filters are cheap compared to engines, so I just think my best advice to anyone, if you want this to look after you, do your best to look after it by giving it fresh air, change your oil obviously when you need to, but also check your diffs and things on trips like this. So we've got diff breathers, we've got all the little things that add the difference to make a better trip. Is, you know, I've got my raised air intake, you know, Pete doesn't have one on here, so we're going to show you don't actually have to do all of that. And we'll see the difference too in our air cleaners. So mine's got the big ram head on it. Pete's obviously just got standard in the GR. So some of the things that we want to look at is what's the differences there for that. We'll see how our fuel economy goes. The other thing too is once you start towing, especially when you get off-road towing, you want to do a little bit of that, which we will, and that's what part of coming here has been, making sure we know how much extra fuel we both burn. So we've had a bit of a look at that, tried to record that, and we'll do some more on our trip up north, because you do not want to get away from home a long way and then you realise, geez, well, I'm chewing double the fuel that I thought I was going to, or 1.5 times. And I generally try and over calculate our fuel, so we've got more than enough, because you do not want to run out of fuel, trust me. Cape York's pretty good, I've been up a few times. There's quite a bit of fuel everywhere across the Cape, but I just encourage you to still have a think about, it's not cheap up there either, but and not that you can cart enough to get yourself up and back, but I really encourage you just to think about long range tanks and things. These things only come with about 130 litre tanks, so it's not that big. Might sound big to some people, but that really, when you start towing and off-road, doesn't get you too far. So I just encourage everyone to have a think about those things and carting some extra fuel. And if you're going to cart extra fuel, do it in the safest, best way. So you'll see in our setup, we've actually got a 100 litre proper fuel cell that we carry with an automatic shut-off valve, done properly, all been signed off and sealed and delivered. So that's something that I think is really important, is how you carry your fuel and your spares. But anyway, we'll just keep going around. The other thing really that happens a lot on corrugated roads is your lights fall to bits or they fall off. Make sure you definitely check them, really important. I've got a winch in this car as well, so it's really important to, I had my winch out the other day, I ran it in, I ran it out. I put new batteries in my handle. My handpiece is actually remote, so make sure you do that. I've got a remote connection at the front here too for my solar input into the car, so I can separate it as well. So all those things just help give you the best trip that you can have possible. And obviously if you're going to do a bit of night travelling, and I suggest try not to do too much of that. I'd be pulling up at night trying to have a drink and a relax and sit around the fire like we're going to tonight. But if you have to, you just want some good lights that you can see what you're doing. Especially on that Cape road, there's quite a few cutouts, and we've done it before. We had an issue, we actually had a problem with our car and we did have to drive back at night, unfortunately, and it was really hard and challenging to find all the dips. So from that day onwards, we actually decided to invest a bit more on our lights, so we knew that we could see distance and spread. And you'll see on this car, I've sort of done that with the Baja lights, but You can run whatever lights you like, but for me, I've just sort of found a good combination there with one light bar and 2 lights that just spread it across, and they sort of do both. But my best advice is try not to do too much night driving, because absolutely that's when wildlife come out more. So the other really important things is your tow mirrors are really important to check. Just make sure they're not coming off. I've got aftermarket MSA, so again, they weren't factory ones, so just check them. The other thing that really I see a lot of people have issues with is roof racks coming loose. Now, roof racks, you can have a look at mine. I've got an off-road animal one and side steps. That's probably been the best roof rack I've ever had. It doesn't make any horrible noises, but it also gives me massive amounts of options of what I need to do. One of the things I've got on mine is obviously MaxTrax Extremes. I wouldn't leave home without a set of MaxTrax, so I've got 4 on the van and 4 up here. Just makes life so much easier. Again, I know they're not cheap, but I'm telling you, when you go to a beach or you go somewhere and you cannot get out, it's a lifesaver, and I've seen how they've worked for us, and I've seen how they've done it for us, and I've helped other people almost losing their car. My own children have helped dig them out. We gave them our MaxTrax and old mate got out. The other thing is like having your winch, you know, having a big 4-wheel drive, people think they can go anywhere, do anything. I'm telling you, that's part of me and Pete being on this together, is having someone else to just travel with so we can help each other. We're both carrying the same, basically, kits. We've both got MaxTrax kits, we've both got MaxTrax, we're both carrying the same solar panels. So we've got a lot of redundancy if things go wrong. I could actually even get Pete to shoot some water over to me, or I could do it to him. Power-wise, we can do that. So even again, I just encourage anyone, if you can find people to travel, especially going to the Cape and back, there's a lot of corrugations on that road. I've had experiences where I've actually walked out a rear beam where the whole bolt came loose. I'd had some work done before I left home. It walked out one of my beams and I had to fix it on the track. Really just about, I thought it was going to destroy my trip, but people on the track helped me. We found a bolt and a nut that would suit and got ourselves to Bamica the first time I ever went up there. But those things are important. You just got to really think about your safety. I've always carried an axe, I've got a chainsaw. It's just all these things, it sounds like a lot, but I'm telling you, it gives you the best experience. And if you can come home, you didn't have to use half of it, that's even better. But trust me, you know, I've said it before, I've had a rollover in Cape York and it wasn't, you know, me doing things stupidly. I wasn't driving over ridiculously fast. I wasn't even doing 10 kilometers an hour. But sometimes you can get in situations, and I was heading downhill, had to turn really sharp and it rolled over. Unfortunately, it took me about 7 hours to recover myself. So I'm really pedantic of making sure now, because of that I actually have some water in the car that we can drink, and I also have a little bit of safety food there too, because I'm telling you, if you lose all that back there and your whole life's back there, then you've just lost everything. And when it goes pear-shaped, and it probably hasn't happened to you yet, but if it has, and when it does, and if it may do, I'm telling you, these are some really good advices that'll help you along the way. The other thing too is I use digital mapping and analog mapping. So in my car, I've got the new HX2 Plus, but I'm telling you, I still trust the analog maps just as much, because it's so important. When all that stuff fails, I've still got my map and I can find my way. And I had that happen as well. I've gone up there, my phone's failed, and I've lost my app. And then it's like, where the hell am I? And I was breadcrumbing up a track, and so I thought I could find my way out. That failed. Luckily, I had maps with me. So again, just through experience, and I'm not an old guy, I'm 50 years old, but I'm just trying to pass on some of this experience. And part of what we're doing on our trip is to educate, encourage and inspire people to get out there and get amongst it. So I hope this has helped you today. We look forward to getting out there, and we're about to go down and sit around the beach, have a few drinks and cook up some dinner. So
after a day of exploring the bay and ensuring our vans were road trip ready, it was time to unwind at the beach and fire up the barbie. With the sun setting and the fire crackling, it's truly the perfect way to end the day.
well, here we are, Stanage Bay, end of our first little kick-off to the trip. So it's been awesome, hasn't it? It's been good to get here and just do a little cook up. We've spent a bunch of time checking out all our setup, setting up the 2 vans. Pete's got his now the way he wants it. We've taught him how to operate it, have a look at all the different features, and that'll get better and better as we keep going. We've obviously now both towed through some dust and dirt and off-roading a little bit, so that's good too, just to again get that going. But just wanted to say, how good is it? This is one of my best mates' properties. We're up here at Stanage Bay. You know, obviously you can't get public access to this, but you know, we're really fortunate to have some good friends from out west, and they managed to buy this property and they run a few cattle here, and it's just such a great spot, just beautiful, right on the water. Tide rolls in and out each day, and it's just been nice for us to slowly slow down, have a think about what this trip's really about. And what it's about is, like many of you, have worked very hard through your life, done a lot of hard yards to get to where you are, and one of the things we want to do on this trip is really pay homage to that so many Aussies, this is the dream. This is what we all look forward to as you get closer to retirement. You can take this time to travel, look across the country, see the iconic places. But this trip is really one of my favourites. It's iconic, going straight to the tip of Australia, as far as you can go east, and it's a really nice trip. It takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of preparation, obviously takes some finances, but most of all, what we want to do is highlight that what we're doing here tonight. We're cooking steaks on the Osprey, got the fire just rolling here on the beach. How good is life, you know? And you know, we've all had grief, we've had loss, we've had things happen to us. We're, you know, good and bad through work or maybe in your family. But what I can just say is, for me, this trip, I really want to get across the country, meet people, find community, different communities. For Lisa and I to both work on the road, there's many people who already do that, so that's not unique. But for us, it's a big opportunity to start seeing how that feels. Leaving our kids, we have 3 kids, that's a challenge. And that's not easy for anybody. And we understand too, leaving your own community, leaving all your friends, your family, it'll come with challenges. So I look forward to highlighting some of that, and I'm really looking forward to meeting different zoners, different people that we meet along the way as well. Don't care really what van or what you're running, just really nice to just meet different people. And I think I've said it before, I've met people one night around a campfire my last trip to Cape York, and I still know them to this very day. So can't wait for that. And just tonight, it's just a really special night. We've been here for a few days now. We're feeling more relaxed. We know more about our equipment. We know more about our setups. We've really tested our batteries. We've tried to wear things down, and just starting to understand each other better too as a group, because there's obviously 3 of us here. Got a couple of mates coming from all the way from Melbourne and are going to make their way up the Cape with us too. So I look forward to those guys turning up in the next episode. But yeah, from Elisa and I and Pete, we just want to say thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to next time. Cheers, mate. Thank you.